समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या? समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
अब समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.
A heartbreaking tragedy has brought the country together. Tejas, our own light combat aircraft fighter jet and heart of our self-reliance in the skies, the same in which our Prime Minister took a sortie in 2023, crashed at the Dubai Air Show yesterday. Its pilot, Wing Commander Namansh Syal, couldn't eject and sadly passed away. He survived by his wife, also an Air Force officer, and a 6-year-old daughter. Our sincerest condolences and prayers to the bereaved family. Tejas has had an excellent safety record with only one crash last year, March, in Jaisalmer due to engine failure. At that time, the pilot managed to eject safely. But this year's tragedy is heart-wrenching at so many levels. A national loss, a reputational loss, and an irrecoverable loss of a qualified, experienced, and a skilled fighter pilot. So today for the Worldview with Swasti, I and former fighter pilot Group Captain Ajay Ahlawat will break down many more layers of this unfortunate incident, its technical issues, the reputational damage to Indian Air Force at a time when our squadron strength is at its lowest, and the many geopolitical impacts amid a worsening security situation worldwide. Let's not forget that while India lost an excellent fighter at Dubai along with its pilot, Pakistan-China co-developed JF-17 got fresh orders at the same venue. So how do we analyze it best, keeping disinformation at bay and yet adding more constructive measures for strengthening our politico-military culture? Without much ado, let me bring in our expert, Group Captain Ajay Ahlawat, to understand the many complexities better. So Ajay, let's start with the incident per se. In your estimation, what do you think happened?
Swasti, let me start by paying my heartfelt, deepest condolences to the family and the colleagues in this squadron. The entire Air Force fraternity is grief-stricken, both serving and retired. Very unfortunate accident. We lost a young, brave lad. We wish he rests in peace.
Okay.
And now, coming to your question, the accident happened during a low-level aerobatic display, as is being played all over the media and the social media. We have seen the videos. The pilot is coming out of a negative G turn, and when he rolled wings level, we see that there is a level of pitch down, and the aircraft has hit the ground in nearly wings level conditions. Now, either the pilot made an error of judgment, or there was a critical system that gave up at that point of time, is something that an investigation will bring out.
Right. No, I understand that. But you mentioned that, low altitude. So, of course, we want to understand what is the negative G maneuver, etc. But what makes the low altitude so dangerous, low altitude flying so dangerous? And if it is dangerous, then why was he doing it?
So see what happens. Let's zoom out a little bit. The entire business of fighter flying requires you to take higher risk than normal, and within that subset, flying a single engine fighter requires even higher risk. Now bring it to a set of maneuvers that requires you to go upside down, turn at high rates, get into various kind of attitudes, recover, and then add one more complexity, that the entire thing has to be done in a viewing area at low altitude where people are watching you.
Yeah.
So you see, on an escalatory ladder per se, if I can call it, the degree of risk is increasing. At low altitude, your speeds are high, the terrain is very close to you. It takes just about a second or a second and a half for you to hit the ground at very great speed if you make an error of judgment. So that is something that makes low altitude flying very dangerous, and low altitude aerobatics, the kind that we do in an air show, even more dangerous per se.
Right. And you mentioned something called a negative G maneuver. So, for the benefit of viewers, of course, who may not be trained technically, what is that maneuver? And I mean, what are the different types of maneuvers then, if negative G being one?
So typically, when an aircraft flies straight and level, it's at 1 g. That's how we, me and you are sitting here are experiencing one gravitational force or 1 unit of gravitational force. An aircraft executes a turn in the horizontal plane or a vertical plane or a combination of both. It needs to generate certain amount of additional g forces
Okay.
to keep the aircraft in the turn. That is what you see in movies like Top Gun. That is you see in documentaries. At 2 positive g, your head weighs twice as much. At 5 g, it weighs 5 times as much. So there
And
are
G here is the
the
gravitational force.
gravitational force. At higher positive g, the blood rushes from the extremities of your body towards your bottom. So that is when you have a situation of gray out because the blood leaves your face and rushes towards your heart. Similarly, in a negative g maneuver, you push the stick forward instead of pulling it back, and it's a capability that very few fighters possess. It's a unique capability that the pilot was displaying, that Tejas is capable of handling negative G turns. The oil system, the engine system, the fuel system, they're all robust enough to be able to handle negative G. That's a key capability that was being displayed. In a negative G maneuver, instead of blood rushing from your face towards your heart, it's the other way around. The whole lot of blood rushes towards your face. There's something called a red out. The eyes turn bloodshot red because there is a lot of blood that is coming to your face. For an uninitiated or for a young rookie or for a pilot who's doing it for the first time, it could be nerve wracking. But Wing Commander Syal, in this instant, had been adequately trained. He had lots of experience on the type, and this was not the first day he was executing that maneuver. He would have done it hundreds of times. So he was, duly trained, and he had rehearsed and practiced many times.
So, I mean, just to sort of reflect on it, I'm sure, I mean, you mentioned that the final reports will come later, and then that is when we'll come to know what exactly went wrong. But amid the scenarios that play out, do you think it is more likely to be an engine failure or a mistake committed on the part of the pilot? You mentioned that he must have undergone hundreds of hours of training on that. What do you think, in terms of your estimation, the different scenarios of what could have happened?
Okay, let me split the question into two parts.
Okay.
Let's say, let me take you over the making of a demo pilot. The demo pilot here, by demo pilot here, I mean the pilot who's nominated to demonstrate the capabilities of the aircraft. So the Air Force looks at mid-senior to senior range of pilots, picks up 3 or 4 of them based on their temperament, flying skills, attitude, the flying qualifications. And this smaller set of 3 or 4 people are then trained initially at medium altitudes, gradually lowering the operating altitude to low levels. They also get to rehearse these missions in simulator. Contingencies are discussed, alternate scenarios are discussed. All that thing happens, and then a second level of deep selection is done where we nominate, one set of crew and one standby. Say, for example, a Su-30 would have 2 pilots as one set of crew and 2 as standby. For a single engine, single cockpit fighter like Tejas, there was one main pilot and one standby. So the pilot that actually gets to get airborne on a show like this and carries out those maneuvers has come out of a very deep selection process, has trained very hard, and all possible scenarios, contingencies have been discussed. Now, looking at the question of what could have actually gone wrong, there are a couple of possible scenarios. Okay, as we discussed a little bit earlier, the reaction time available at low altitude is very low. So, should a system like flight controls give up? Should the engines have a thrust issue? Should the avionics suddenly go blank, causing distraction of pilot's mind for a little bit? All of these things can lead to a catastrophe of this kind.
Yeah.
There is not enough time. But also there exists a possibility, and a big possibility, that the pilot made an error of judgment in those crucial seconds. And by the time the pilot realized, there was not enough altitude available to rectify those errors. So all these aspects will be looked at in detail in an investigation.
Right. I also ask you this question, Ajay, because Tejas is known to have an excellent safety record, and this was only the second time something so untoward happened. Last time it happened was last year March in 2024 in Jaisalmer, and then the pilot managed to eject, of course, but then the problem was engine failure. So that's also one of the reasons why I'm asking this question, is because it happens with a fighter which has an excellent safety record despite all the criticisms. What would you have to say about the safety record?
Well, Swasti, you are right that Tejas has had one of the best flight safety record when it comes to single engine fighters of its generation. During the development phase, Tejas had no hull loss, which is almost unprecedented. Comparing it with similar aircraft, Mirage 2000, the Mirage 3, Mirage 5, F1 variants, they had close to 9 hull losses. Jazz 39 Gripen had 4 or 5, depending on the sources you look at. Its closest peer in the subcontinent, JF-17, also had 4 hull losses. So considering those, it had 0 hull loss during the development phase, which speaks about the safety record of the aircraft exceptional. I think only F-16 has a comparable record where F-16, the no hull loss happened during the F-16 development program. After induction in squadron service, as you rightly mentioned, this is only the second loss.
Yeah.
And in the first case, there were some troubles with the engine, and the pilot had managed to eject safely. So overall, we've heard a lot of bad stuff about Tejas program and the project as such.
I was going to ask you
Yes,
that. Yeah.
but in terms of safety, Tejas has a very good safety record.
So now help me understand, why is the Tejas then criticized so much? I mean, even on here for the print, we have discussed several times the problems with the LCA program, its conception, its development, the R&D issues, but it's been criticized a lot. And lately, it's also been criticized by our own chief. Okay. So could you help us understand what makes people and the strategic community, especially the aviation community, criticize the Tejas program so much?
No, even I have spoken and I have written about it. In my personal opinion, we have made certain observations critical of the program. At this stage, we have to make a distinction between the program, the project, and the plane. Speaking of the plane, it's an excellent aircraft. Pilots love to fly it. The quadruple flight control system and allows a very precise control and handling at low speeds, high speeds, the entire range of flight envelope. You remain in control of the aircraft. Wonderful aircraft to fly.
Okay.
But be that as it may, when it comes to the program, we overpromise and under-delivered.
Yeah.
When it comes to project per se, the shifting timelines of when is the Mark 1 coming, Mark 1A coming, Mark 2 coming. So there have been a lot of disappointments there. Case of hits and misses, more misses than hits.
Okay.
But in this particular discussion, we must make a distinction between the plane and the project.
Okay.
The plane is good. There are issues with the project and the program management.
Okay, all right. And what is happening about the LCA delivery timelines? Because I think it always makes sense to sort of go back and delineate for the audiences that when you say the LCA Tejas program, you're referring to Mark 1, Mark 1A, Mark 2, and so on. So could you also help us understand which aircraft is inducted, which is expected, what is happening?
So as per the initial contract, we should have had 40 Tejas Mark 1 by now, definitely by 2019. We are in 2025, we have 38. There are some issues with serial number 39 and 40. They are available, but somehow not met the requirements that the AFO specified, so not yet inducted. They are being put to good use for Mark 1A development.
Right, and they have the GE 404 engines.
Correct. They have the GE 404 engines. In terms of Mark 1A, we heard the air chief during Feb this year.
Yeah.
He was very disappointed that the Mark 1As had not been delivered to the Air Force by then. We are nearing the end of this year. And as per reports and the statements coming out of HAL, we are not going to get any Mark 1A this year.
Okay.
Hopefully by March next year, or maybe in the second half of next year, we will begin to see Mark 1A deliveries. And there are close to 200 of them.
Yeah.
And we hope within the next 7 to 8 years, we will have all of them available.
Okay, and here at this juncture, I want to ask you something which is a common impression, which is that should India worry about any delays in deliveries of the engine per se, considering, our ties with the United States aren't really going well. So, I mean, how would you, what is your impression of this observation?
So any equipment that delays the induction of the aeroplane will be a source of worry, whether it is the engine or whether it is the new radars, EW suites or new weapons. Anything that delays the program will cause us major worries, because sanction for 42 down to less than 30, we are in dire straits.
Yeah.
We need those aircraft as on yesterday. So any delays will be a major cause of concern.
And at this stage, Ajay, I mean, let me also ask you, because comparisons will be made, right? Just talking about our Tejas aircraft, let's just compare it then with the other variants worldwide that are available in that segment. How are they doing, etc. And here, of course, you know that I mean the JF-17, the 3 versions of it, and the J-10Cs. How do you compare it?
See, the comparisons will always be made. Unfortunately, this accident has put the spotlight once again on Tejas and
Yeah.
Tejas versus others.
Yeah.
We have been, as a country, have been trying to find export clients for our aircraft, and so has been the case with JF-17
Yeah.
made by Pakistan and China, J-10C made by China, and other fighters. The whole lot. The Russians look out for clients for Su-57. The Americans are always looking out for clients to buy their F-series of fighters and all that. So what happens is, there are 3 types of losses that we incurred yesterday. One is loss of a pilot. We can never recover from that loss. That pilot is gone forever. We train another one, but that takes another 13, 14 years. Other is loss of aircraft. We can always build another one. We have the line ready. And third is the loss of reputation. That would also take a long time. If we say the pilot was at fault, the forces risk losing face. That what kind of training do you impart? If you say there was problem with the aeroplane, that the manufacturer risk losing face, that what kind of aeroplane you build. So we are in a very bad spot per se. Yes, comparisons will be made. As being reported, JF-17 has actually secured some orders from Nigeria and now from Azerbaijan and some other countries.
Yeah, in fact, it was just quite disheartening to see that while we were displaying our Tejas for similar sort of orders, at least in the future, we saw that JF-17 got a fresh order. We don't know the disclosed, I mean, the customer is not disclosed yet. My assessment, it's probably Iraq or Egypt. But yes, they secured another one, and while being presented at the Dubai Air Show. So it does really feel quite bad as a citizen of India. So just connecting it to the same incident, Ajay, does it worry you that Pakistan, China co-produced jets are being able to get sold and get orders while we are not able to do that?
Not at all. Actually, it'll be nice to sell your stuff to others, actually. But speaking from the Air Force point of view, we need 200, 400 of them. And there are not enough being produced that can fill our needs. So I'll be happy as long as HAL meets the requirement of the Indian Air Force. And only once those needs are met, then I, as a citizen or as a former IAF pilot, would be worried that we are unable to sell our air anywhere else. So speaking narrowly and only from the point of view of not being adequate export orders, no, it doesn't worry me at all.
Right. No, I'm glad you mentioned it, because these are also times when you also see oodles of disinformation flowing around, and of course, all of that. So I think we need to know what really is something that we need to think about and worry about, and what is it that we need to brush off our shoulders right away. But yes, how do you think it affects the morale of the forces? Because I'm sure this is a heart-wrenching situation. I mean, I've been hearing from people how heartbroken they are. There were so many people, Indians, who were there at the air show. They felt so, sad as citizens of India, as patriots. So, how do you think this would affect the morale of the forces? And also at a time when the security situation globally and also in the Indian subcontinent remains to be so volatile?
Well, you are right. It was sad, gut wrenching. Uh, I can very well feel the pain that the family and the squadron is going through right now. But at the same time, we must realize we are a fighting force. Grief management is something that we learn as we go along. Loss of life and limb is always a possibility in a business like this. So unfortunately, the combat unit is always prepared for a news like that. Nobody likes it, but they know how to handle it. The organization would lean on the squadron. They will assist them with whatever they need. The squadron will get in touch with the family, and the squadron, the crew, the personnel will make sure whatever the family needs is taken care of immediately. There will be long-term support in terms of policies as laid down by the government. And besides that, the colleagues of the late pilot will always remain in touch. Like I am in touch with the families of my colleagues who left us early.
Yeah.
So that support system will continue. Yes, very sad, very disheartening, but that's the price you pay for keeping the flag flying high.
All right. And just as we try to sort of, conclude the discussion around it, of course, we are all waiting for official details to come out. But by and large, how do we then sort of do something positive to have a constructive engagement around our politico-military culture, our delay in deliveries, etc. I mean, these are all long-standing issues anyway. Do you think what happened in Dubai yesterday sort of has a bearing on the larger problems we have, or do we keep it entirely separate?
Okay, there are three parts to that question. Let me try and split it if I can.
Okay.
First of all, what happened at Dubai? We lost a pilot and an aircraft at Dubai while executing a mission that the pilot was asked to do.
Yeah.
This is not the first accident of similar mission, nor will it be the last.
Yeah.
Within IAF itself, in 1989, we lost a Mirage 2000. Wing Commander Bakshi, CEO of 7th Squadron, was executing low-level aerobatics on then newly inducted Mirage 2000, and he hit the ground with the family watching, the entire Air Force crowd watching. More recently, in 2019, Surya Kiran team, 3 aeroplanes were practicing or rehearsing for the Aero India show. 2 aircraft collided. We lost 1 pilot, the other 2 ejected. Globally, we lost one. We saw one F-16 hit the ground. Very senior, very experienced pilot of Polish Air Force. There was an incident in Spain when F-18 almost hit the ground but got away, and the videos are being circulated on social media. Other major incidents at air shows: 3 Me-339s, formation aerobatic team of Italian Air Force hit the ground, killing more than 100. Su-27 of Ukraine hit the ground, killing many. And once again, there's a whole list of accidents that happened. So what happened yesterday was very unfortunate, deeply saddening, but not unique.
Yeah.
What a professional force would do is get to the bottom of this, dive deep, and find out, was there a flaw in training? Was there a gap in skill? Was there a problem with maintenance? Was there a problem with operational environment? Did we demand of the pilot or the aeroplane that they were not kind of prepared to give or capable to give with adequate safety margin? So a professional force will find answers to questions like this and plug those gaps. The second aspect of this discourse on military preparedness, we live in a hyper information age. Citizen has a vested right to know because it's taxpayers' money. The citizen has always had the right. But what the availability of social media platforms like X and Instagram has done, they have given a platform to that voice. So anybody and everybody can say anything they want. And this is my personal observation, that these platforms are, these algos promote hate-ridden content over sensible stuff. So we see a lot of nonsense. As somebody who writes on air power and military matters, as a journalist and a scholar who covers these things, I think we should ignore the noise and focus on the stuff that really matters. The leadership at national, political and military level is acutely aware of what needs to be done, and they are doing it.
Yeah, so that's the second aspect. And you also mentioned that there are 3 aspects to the question I asked. So what is the third one?
Third is the broader question about military preparedness and how does this accident impact. So see, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, we need 42, maybe 60 plus actually to take care of both the threats. But within the sanction strength of 42, we are below 30. One aircraft per se does not make a major dent, but and that's the big but here. Should the investigation finds out in early days that there was something wrong with the aeroplane, then they will need to ground the entire fleet.
Okay.
So 2 squadrons of LCA will be grounded. Then it might have a detrimental impact on the aircraft that are going to be inducted. I hope that is not the case.
Okay.
I hope there is not a critical flaw in the flight control logic or the engines or something like that. If that was to happen, then the impact will be very significant.
Right. And since you have spent decades in the Indian Air Force fighter flying, how long generally do these investigations take? Because these are fairly technical things,
no,
right?
I get it. Not a straightforward answer there. Sometimes it takes little long to find out. I'll give you an example. As a squadron leader, I was part of an investigation when we lost the first Hawk aircraft during a paired takeoff. One of the aircraft veered too close to the other aircraft, and certain control inputs were applied. The aircraft rolled on the ground, and we lost that aircraft. The pilots, both of them, recovered safely. Now we figured out what led to the crash, and but we couldn't get to the bottom of why one of the aircraft would lose direction on the takeoff roll, leading to the entire sequence of events. We went down to the bearings in the wheel. Destructive testing was carried out, but still no conclusive answer. So it took close to 2.5 years to find out what went wrong in a system that led to degradation in the performance of the aircraft, that led to an error of judgment from the pilot. So sometimes it takes long. In this particular case, because it happened in Dubai, and the authorities in Dubai will in some shape and form will be part of this investigation, because that is their sovereign soil. So my estimate is this will take close to a year before we know conclusively what happened. We may have an early kind of vector as early as end of next week.
All right. So thanks for those inputs, Ajay. But as you mentioned that a formal inquiry might take close to a year, of course, we'll be around to discuss that as well. But do we even expect that formal inquiry to come out in public domain so that we can discuss it?
In our scheme of things, in our system, the military does not follow the practice of making these inquiries public. However, the salient points and any worrying aspects, if any, would be made known through the official media handles of the Army, Navy, and Air Force.
Right.
But I don't think so we will get to see the complete investigation.
So on that note, Ajay, let me thank you for taking the time out on a weekend and helping us understand the different complexities and nuances of this very technical subject. And of course, we'll be tracking it and keeping an eye out on whatever details come out. But for now, thank you so much.